What's up, fam? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. We have none other than Miss Anny Draginova, co-founder of Batch Service. Launched in 2019. The amount of growth that you guys had over the last several years, I mean, it's been incredible, to say the least. You were in a while back, one of the previous episodes, and I know, like, we talked about the launch and the background and where you have, where you had taken the company up to that point, but from there to now, I mean, it's just been exponential. Yep. I believe, like, you guys are a clear example of the hockey stick effect that everybody's always looking for when it comes to company growth and just building a team all together. So I want to dive into all that stuff. I want to thank you for being on the podcast again. It means a lot. And let's get rolling. Dive right into it.
Perfect. Where do you want to start?
Let's recap on a little bit of background, how you got started as an entrepreneur. You guys, I mean, come from a wholesaling background like a lot of us out there. And then you just took a big, massive pivot that made a dent in the industry. So we can pick it up from there,
So we were wholesaling. We were doing, I want to say, about 10 to 20 deals within the time frame that we were wholesaling a month. And at that point, wholesaling is an amazing business, but it wasn't something that called us. It wasn't something that got us excited every morning, and it was difficult for us to maintain like the growth that we really knew that we could have. We love the community, which is one of the biggest parts. We wanted to figure out how do we stay in it, right? So what we kind of saw was a lot of gaps in the industry. There was things that we were trying to accomplish as wholesalers that we couldn't really accomplish. One of the biggest things is technology. Technology, I feel like in a lot of industries, it's being left behind. Mm-hmm. And wholesaling or real estate altogether, it was one of those things that kind of just got
it was non-existent.
About, yeah.
I mean, pretty much you go back 5 years and the resources that are out there, I mean, there's 80% of them were not. Yeah. It's
so think about 5 years back. I want to say, I think it's the first time that I saw you ever on stage. We were talking about Rebo Gateway. We were talking about we were talking about like 13 platforms in order to achieve this one task. So it was that kind of got us started into the software world. We started building a software for ourselves. It was first we started obviously with skip tracing. We provided the best data because at the end of the day, we've always kind of strived to provide the best service. From then on, we accomplished that, and then we grew into a software company because once you have the data, what do you do with it, right? Yeah. So it was the Excel files that you had scattered throughout like your entire desktop computer or Google Drive. That you would send to a VA or you would send to someone else to then filter it and then remove the duplicates and verify addresses and all these things that were just super time consuming and tedious. So then from then on, it's just it became, I guess, the company, the brand that every wholesaler kind of looked towards, and it was because we initially started with the service. Right, we focus on our service and our customers.
I think you guys did something very, very important too, which is understanding how data worked. Right, specifically in our industry, in our field, you buy data and then you buy data and then you buy data and then you buy data. Every time you buy data, you make that expense. Like it just you use it and then it's like trash now, right? Yep. That was the general consensus. You found a way to come in and then repurpose that by creating your own database, which is, I mean, it's really amazing. It's clever, right? Yeah. And it's a totally different take on just pulling from the data companies all the time until you get to a point where you create your own database. Yeah. So how one of the big questions that comes to mind is, you're in this somewhat. It's not an standardized business by any means, right? Wholesaling, it's not regulated or anything like that in most places. But you're coming from a certain way of doing things. How do you pivot and you find out, how do you see the vision and pivot that vision and really like make the jump to going from something that's giving you results? I mean, 10 to 20 deals, it's nothing small. It's a solid operation, right? How do you pivot from something that's solid into something that's tentative, like software?
how we pivoted. So there's three
Yeah.
co-founders. So there's three co-founders, and I think that's what gave us the ability to do the pivot. So while I was 100% engulfed in the real estate and the wholesaling and the fix and flip and buy and hold it, all of that, Eva was able to kind of pull away and focus on the software. Jesse was kind of split in the beginning, and then he pulled away and then focused on the software as well, until we kind of decided that being full in all the way in as far as real estate wasn't the best way for us, or at least at this point in our journey, right? So then eventually I pulled out, and actually the best part of it is the fact that we were kind of debating if we should stay in real estate, and at that time COVID hit and we were over leveraged.
Yeah.
Over leveraged in the sense that we had real estate throughout the valley and we weren't 100% focused on it. So all of our resources weren't going where all of our money was being spent, right? So it was that turning point that showed the three of us that we need to figure out how to kind of get out. So during the COVID period, I want to say until from March till August is the last time, or the last deal that we sold that we had already purchased, because we actually purchased a lot of our deals at the time. We didn't just assign contracts. So we sold it, and then from then on, it was all the three of us decided to build this entire company. But by the time we decided that, it was already functioning, it was producing, it allowed us to make that pivot, because it's no longer an idea, because we've proven the concept from 2019 to 2020, right? It's a proven concept at this point. So the pivot was simple for us.
And I remember, being at the batch office, and then you guys still working wholesale deals and negotiating, having, a couple of acquisitions people and dispo, and having that whole team together. And then still running data, running the thing. And, at that point, I was already using you guys.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, it was very... it was very cool to see the switch, right? The transfer, and like the real stuff that's happening behind the curtains and the logo and all that stuff. Like, okay, cool. Like, this is happening. This is how they're making things work.
Yeah.
They're actually in it, and then because they're in it, they can see they have a different vantage point than the general software company out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We were our proof of concept, like the pivot. We proved that we were able to scale to 10 deals to like 30 deals with our software, with our products, with our things, and it's like that was the proof of concept, and we maintained it, and because we were just wanting to see like, hey, is this a fluke? But it wasn't, because it was over a year plus time frame.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a little tricky, right? Especially if you're tapping again into something new that's there's no proof of concept out there, just in general, just because of the nature of the stuff that you guys were doing. You guys started stacking lists, and what was the name of that? The first name that you rolled out?
Batch Lead Stacker.
Yeah. Batch Lead Stack at Stacker.com, right? I used that forever until it became Batch Leads. Then But so it's I mean, it's really cool to see the transition. Besides, it's impressive to see the transition of something like that, how it's born from a need, right? From a thought, and it just evolves. You guys were. I think you managed it very well, in terms of how to jump from one to the other without burning the bridges.
Yep.
And I've done it successfully. Now, to kind of put this thing into context, 2020, you guys had around a staff of 30, a team of 30?
2019, about 30 people.
30 people.
Yeah.
Right now, batch service it's 250 teams or
Team members,
right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. How do you put that together so fast in a matter of a couple of years?
I think the best answer for that is, again, going back to the partnership. We had such a strong partnership that we were able to kind of focus on different aspects of the company. And at the same time, we had such a dedicated and awesome team that we initially started with, that were super dedicated to like the idea, to the vision, to the brand, to the culture, that they were the people that we've kind of grown with, and that we've figured out how do we elevate these people because of the dedication that they've shown us from day one. The fact that they believed in the product from day one. So we figured out how to elevate these people, and then we hire underneath, and then we elevate those people, and then we kind of hire underneath. And then at the same time, now we're realizing that we need to find like just amazing talent all together and add to the team, because one of the like around the holidays, my mom was like, hey, so how's the company going? What's going on? And she's like, how many people are you guys at? And I was like, we're about, and this is around Christmas time. And I was like, we're about like 30 people, or sorry, we're about 210 people at this point, 220. And she's like, well, how do you manage them? And I was like, I don't know. Like, it's not like me managing, right? It's not me managing. I manage a handful. Those managers manage a handful, right? And then Evo and Jesse, they all have their own departments. So it's having that faith in that person, just because we've kind of built, obviously, the relationship with Evo, Jesse, and myself, but the relationship with the team, right?
Yeah.
It's elevating them.
That's huge. I mean, the empowerment, actually giving the tools and beyond the tools, the mindset and the ability to really trust the people that's coming into your team. If you want to go fast, go alone, right?
Yeah.
If you want to go far, you need a team.
Yeah.
I love it. So how do you put that into practice? How do you start doing that as you're growing the team? And I mean, I'm feeling like the emphasis of this thing is empowerment.
Yeah.
But how do you take that and you actually put it out there? How do you roll out that strategy?
How do you roll out empowerment?
Yeah.
I would say the best way, I think we originally started with culture. We got so many of the entire, actually our team, majority of our team was first doing wholesaling. We got them to transition from wholesaling to now doing software, right? It's not just the transition for like me and the founders, it's the transition for the entire team, because they went from doing cold calling and using Mojo to now selling batch dialer.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a huge transition that they've made together as well. But we've also had like the resources to kind of to help them along the way, to coach them, and we are dedicated to them. We've always treated all of our employees fairly, and we're always looking to do good with the team and to our customers. It's not so when they see that passion for the good of all, I think that's what people kind of buy into as well.
Well, I mean, you're right there, right? Now people want to belong to a place.
Yeah.
I don't think we see it as often as we used to see it, where people just show up to a workplace because they want to get paid.
Yeah.
They're living for that paycheck, and that's the end all be all. I don't think it's that. I think now people have a sense of meaning into what they're doing. There's a lot more people buying into that.
Yeah.
You guys create a really cool space where that's allowed. I mean, just if you walk into your guys' office, it's dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, you have people, working deals there. You have people developing software. You have people doing sales. You have, studios. Like, what kind of data company has, studios set up and all that stuff. So there was a lot of firsts that I saw when I got introduced to Batch.
Yeah.
And I think people, that turns people on. You know what I mean? It catches attention. It's I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like, thinking in 2019, right? Fast forward a couple of years, it's insane. But it's curiosity, it's attraction, it's attention. I don't know what it is, but I want to belong to it.
Yeah.
And that's important. Does that directly connect into the vision that you guys had originally launching? Or was it something that you kind of started getting, coming together on its own and became its own beast?
The culture itself?
Yeah.
The culture, I honestly think it just transitioned from like the wholesale to the software. Like, our culture has always been a very big part of our, I think, organization altogether. To like right now, we have a full team now dedicated just on culture. Like, how do we make sure that everyone's remote at this point, right?
Right.
Like, we have people in the Philippines. I think we're in about 20 different countries right now.
Yeah. Side note, I mean, I think the whole COVID thing when it hit, only just made a jump of about 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Everything was going to be remote anyways. But I think people had to move a lot faster to those spaces, which benefit, companies like yours with,
absolutely.
software and whatnot.
But yeah, we went from we were in 20 different countries, and how do you now combine all of these people?
Yeah.
How do you get them to buy into this one vision from an office that we have 20, 30, 40, 50 people in? it's difficult. So now there's an entire team, and it's something that we've even like talked about recently. Like the first part of the company, or part of the life cycle of our company, was focused obviously on sales. Like we have to have revenue to kind of maintain everything. Obviously, development, sales, and customer success, supporting our customers. But then from then on, like we need to support the team. So now we've like started building this like entire big like we went from 3 people in the HR department to now I think we're about like 12, 10. I'm losing numbers at this point, but and this is in the past 2 months. We've kind of just grown tremendously in order to support the team, and because the culture is the thing that's driving us.
Now, let me make a plug there. It's going to be, and it's not a plug, I don't know why I said that, but it's a point. All right, you're talking about growth, and it's real fast growth in different departments. I mean, you HR, you're talking, development, you're talking R&D. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the company, and you're growing fast. Yeah. How are you doing that methodically?
Surrounding ourselves with people that are smarter than us, that we know that we don't know it all, right? We find people that are like skillful at their craft, right? It's someone that's going to be super dedicated to like just HR because they've done HR for 20 plus years, and I'm brand new walking into this. I know the vision, I know the direction we're going, but how do you actually get to the nitty gritty and that execution portion of it? I'm sure I can figure it out. Like that's not the point. But it's like, how fast can I figure it out? Like, can we figure it out fast enough to maintain the growth that we're at? And I think that's kind of like what's gotten us along the way. It's because we understand that we're not the smartest people, but we know what questions to ask, and that I think that's how we kind of gotten to where we're at.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, who, not how, right?
Yeah.
There's so much talent out there. Getting the talent together in a single room, I think it's really the magic.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's what creates the stuff that I don't know how I'm running 250 people.
Yeah. Well, now our recruiting team now is like we're trying to figure out how do we support them best with like as part of our HR department, but it's like how do we support them as well, because we need good talent.
So you're bringing talent in, and what's your process for building the talent up? So once you have it in house or bring somebody in, how do you build people up?
So how do we build people up? We have a really good onboarding process. With that being said, I think it's about this big. It's about a fraction of where we're trying to get to. It's great already, but what it could be is phenomenal. We're also even looking at like different programs and platforms that will allow for even self-education. If you're wanting to upscale, and let's say that you're in marketing and you want to upscale to become, I don't know, VP of marketing one day, we're giving you the ability to access these tools, right? But it's your choice if you're wanting to take that initiative, right? So we're setting up these entire infrastructures to support our team members, right? We have entire training modules for each department. But wait, let's say you don't even want to be in marketing anymore. Like you're in marketing, but you want to do, I don't know, sales. Now you can start learning about the sales experience and the sales, and you have access to that. And it's part of like, we're currently in the middle of creating it. It's Batch Academy, but it's like the internal academy for our employees.
I love it.
So that's how we're looking at leveling up.
I'm telling you, it's attracting talent is one thing, right? Yeah. But sometimes talent goes to die somewhere.
Yeah. It's not here.
if you don't have I don't know, something of a spark. Yeah. And what I see in achievers or performers, really, like even in my teams, so the people who actually go get it, they have this as soon as the glass ceiling just kind of comes into view, they start to lose motivation and drive and interest, right? So there's always creative ways to find that we can come in and implement, and then just build a business and build it better. But I mean, it's growing something like that and actually empowering from within. I think it serves multiple purposes. One, you're growing the team, you're growing the individual, right? Now they have a couple different things in their resume as opposed to just that one. They have a good, solid company behind them, and you have the ability to like find out what the best talent within your reach is.
Yeah.
So, wow. What about leadership?
What about
leadership? I mean, you're running a lot of people, and I understand like everybody has their own operations within your operation, but as you go up the chain of command and whatnot, and how does the leadership work in terms of getting your team motivated or the people who are accountable to you, for example, getting them to have buy-in in the whole process, and really believing where the company's going.
Well, I think that just kind of it goes into like us empowering a lot of the current leaders that we have, are leaders that weren't necessarily in the positions that they are in now. So they've bought into like the vision, they've bought into the company, they see where we're going, and they're excited, right? So they're excited about the journey that they're a part of. Yeah. So they're now like kind of just exuding it's like they're sweating at this point, and they're sweating like how like to their team, and they believe in it. So what's easy for them is to empower their team members, and it kind of, I think it just all flows from the top, right? Like if I don't believe in the company, or if Ipo and Jesse, for instance, don't believe in the company, it's kind of going to spread down, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
But the belief and the drive and the passion that I think the three of us have, and then that our entire leadership, I think has. I don't think anyone understands like how passionate these people are and how like dedicated they are to the entire culture and the vision of it. So then they just kind of waterfall it down.
Well, I mean, to move at the rate that you guys are moving and have the impact that you guys are having, which I'm going to ask about right now, you got to have people who are bought in, right? Yeah. And it's a curiosity of mine to kind of figure out like how are they making it happen? How are they? People usually don't just follow a logo, right? It's not, that doesn't work anymore. No. They'll follow the leadership, and that's important. So now, when in terms of buy-in and creating that cohesiveness and with the team and connecting it with the vision, and then just building everything from the ground up. Again, I'm going back to how fast you guys have been able to move over the last couple of years. How do you take something from good to a level of great? Which is what you guys have been able to do so fast. I mean, again, it's not the crazy thing about your guys' whole deal is that it's not a tested and proven process. Yeah. You guys are branching in a couple of different verticals. You're adding new services in as you progress, as you grow the company, and new legs of it, or new service in as you progress. And it's, I mean, to me, it's just like thinking out, it's outside the box. Every single one of those has been. So how do you take something that's good, and you had a good, service starting off with the lead stacker, and then take it to great, which is, Batch family now?
How do you take it from good to great? Yeah. I think it's going back to the entire thing that we're kind of talking about. People now our team is now pushing us. Like, we hear customers say this, they want to see this, we want to hear this. They like, this is what we think we have. So now we're starting to listen. Leadership is listening to the things that our customers are wanting and needing. So we look at that aspect. But as far as like the company, how you go from good to great, I think one of the things that I think that kind of differentiates a lot of people that make it as an entrepreneur or don't, is being able to like stay hyper focused, and the other part is like being relentless and not really I don't want to say not caring if you fail, but more so like just getting back up on that horse, like fail fast, fail forward, right? Yeah.
Resiliency, is it? Resiliency?
Yes, resiliency. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what we all have, and again, we don't always know the answers for a team, but what we do promote is like, you try it, you fail, like you learn it, let's move on. Like let's get going. And I think that resilience that we're talking about, I think that's kind of what's gotten us from good to great and back to like the empowerment. Like, we empower people to make mistakes, right? We empower people to make not mistakes, but choices
Yeah.
that could, if it leads to a mistake, it does, right? Like it's not the greatest thing, but at least we've learned and now we can move on. I think that's kind of that's what makes good to great. It's staying super focused on what your journey is and just being okay, like, right, being resilient.
I love that. Now, as leaders or as business owners, we have okay, we think about it, okay, yeah, we have to just take in the hits and then do whatever.
Yeah.
But when your team starts to adopt the same mentality, everything changes, right? Because now it's not just you running the thing, or your partnership running the thing. You have the backup, you have the buy-in, you have the the rest of the talent and the grit and the resiliency of the whole team behind you, which just keeps you motivated. How do you feel that for example, the team, the staff takes that to heart?
The resiliency.
Yeah.
I think we've. I don't I'm laughing because I keep saying this word empower, right?
Yeah.
Empower. They feel empowered. Like they have a say. They have an opinion. Their opinion matters, right?
Yeah.
You're not number 37, right?
Yeah.
You're Rafael Cortez, right? It's sorry.
I am number one somewhere.
No, you are number one, but like you're not for us. Like you're not a number. Your opinion matters in the organization, and that's why it's we want to hear it.
Yeah.
People that are coming in to the organization, they're like, well, I really loved this, but do you mind if I make a suggestion to change this? And I was like, absolutely not. Like I want to hear it.
Yeah.
And kind of just going back into like the whole culture part of it is we're now asking like employees, like what is it that we are lacking? Where can we improve, right? We ask this to our customers. Why can't we ask this to our team members, right?
Yeah, they're in the front lines.
Yeah.
They're having all those conversations. They're having, they're actually using the processes and strategies. There's so many things that, you improve on a regular basis if you just listen to the team that's already in place.
Well, in software, we always talk about like the customer experience.
Yeah.
Right? Something that a conversation we've been having internally is, what about the employee experience? What does that look like?
Yeah.
From everything from the beginning, from like the initial interview, from the initial screening to interview, that process to whether it's termination or however you decide to leave it. Like, what does that journey look like? How can we improve it? Because we don't want to we don't want to fire anyone. We never want to, but we don't want anyone to leave. So how do we make it better? How do we attract even more people to be not just that want to say like, hey, like I want to work for that company.
Yeah.
Hey, like if you're already working for us, like we want your friends. We know that we want your family, whoever it is working for us. Because if you're with us and we've pretty much vetted you, right? Like we believe in you, so now we believe in your network. So.
Tell me, give me 3 things that work, and I think that's an amazing thing, right? The employee experience. It's not a regular thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't hear it
No.
often. I've heard it with you guys before, and I think to a degree, it's something that people try to apply, but they don't create the emphasis is not there.
Yeah.
You don't go to most businesses and then see an actual standing protocol for the employee experience. You just don't.
Yeah.
What are 3 things that are working well for you guys in that sense?
For employees, and this is going to sound very just dumbed down, but it's really not. We're going back to the basics. Like, it's your birthday.
Yeah.
Wish them a happy birthday. Do something special. It's your anniversary with the company. Do something special. It goes everything from like the onboarding piece, and then me sitting down like the first week, leadership meets with our team members. I meet with the team member. I don't care what part of the organization, whether it's me or Jesse, we meet with the with the new hires. I don't care what part of the organization you're coming into. Like, we're meeting because we value you, that you're coming back to the team. So now you're feeling special. You're starting to buy in. Like, and it's again, we're building that culture. We're building that excitement for people to be a part of the organization. They meet with people in different departments. If you are in support, you're going to meet with someone that's in the developing team or maybe the marketing team. And I think that's just because we're remote now, right? Like, having a face-to-face, it's not all just about the videos. Like, I could record a video and say, welcome to the team, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we could do that all day, every day, but like now we're meeting with people and it's, we're starting the initial buy-in. So give them give people attention. Like people want to be seen and heard. Right, so we hear and we see our team members. We celebrate them when it's time for their celebration, and it's again not just birthdays and anniversaries, but like if someone just got married in the organization or they had a child, something, we celebrate the entire organization. We constantly do surveys and like questions, and they could be like weird questions of like if. Let's say if Evo, Annie, and Jesse got in a foot race, who would be first, second, and third, right? Like something that's like funny.
Well, Evo can do one step and then he's got like half a mile. Advantage.
Okay, yes, here's what if it was uphill?
Still, his legs are longer.
Whose cardio's best?
Evo's like 7 foot tall.
I mean, okay. No, what if it was like army crawl in it too?
His arms are still super long.
I mean,
Evo, I'm rooting for you. Evo, yeah, you're the man. You got this.
But no, it's just doing activities with the team, and we are remote. There's you don't have to think like, oh, we're gonna take the team to lunch, or you can do things virtually with them. I think that's some of just like the basic things that you can work towards to empower the team.
And I mean, and that's totally thinking outside the box, right? It's again, you guys are not the regular cookie cutter type of company. Yeah. That's never been your MO. No. You found a niche. Yeah. You went into it and you grew that. You jumped into something that wasn't comfortable, that wasn't something you guys even knew. I remember talking to Evo a while back, and actually when we were sitting down on the podcast, and he's like, yeah, man, I had to look up what IP was when I was, that's not the background. That to me just, it's mind blowing. Yeah. How you can really tap into, an area, get focused, get persistent, get consistent, and then really have that massive, leaps and bounds in terms of progress, and then do something great like this, like what you guys are doing. Now, switching gears a little bit, let's. What about impact? Is that something that's factored into your guys' every day, like the type of impact that you want to have, at an employee base, at a customer, perspective? What does that look like?
For a customer perspective, kind of just, again, we're going to separate the two, employee experience and customer experience. Yeah. The customer experience portion, we've always it's what got us to where we're at, right? It's being dedicated to the customer because, right, we had the data, we knew how to make it better, we did it, and we were constantly trying to improve it, right? So we were always focused on the customer. We were focused on, like, how do we even, like, mentor you? Or how, if we can't mentor you, which at this point now we can't, how do we get people that are part of our organization to help you upbring you, right? Now we're having, like, we recommend, like, coaches and whatnot to, like, different parts of like, real estate. Like, there's a path if you're wanting to take it for our customers. That's the impact. We want to see our customers succeed because if they succeed, they're going to be your customer, right? Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, like, if your business fails, why are you going to still be with us? Yeah. Like, why?
I think it's crazy, right? But every time I start to think about, like, the best relationships out there, the best cultures out there, they all somehow, one way or another, connect to the go-giver mentality. Yeah. Yeah. If you help somebody get what they want, I mean, you're a byproduct of that, right? I mean, you guys are a clear example of that. If you help people move forward with other stuff, for example, and this is when you're building a relationship, you're kind of paying it forward, right? And empowering people comes back to you in one way or another. Sometimes it's just, it may not be a direct monetary exchange, but something is going to happen down the road. It just comes back. I don't know how it works, but it does.
Well, it's like I think one of the recent quote, or I don't even know, I maybe heard it somewhere. It was like, you don't, like, the purpose of a car is not for you to put gas in it. Yeah. Like, what's the purpose of a car?
You're asking?
Yeah.
Travel, a move.
To get you from point to
A to B, yeah.
But it's not to put, so it's the same. Yeah, the point of the business is not to make money, right? The point of the business is to get you from point A to point B. But now who that is, right? Is it the employee from point A to point B, or is the customer from point A to point B? Yeah. So. I
love that. So smart.
I didn't come up with it.
No. So, what about, all right, now, in terms of creating that, and I don't want to say bulletproof mindset, because I don't think anybody out there has bulletproof mindset really when it comes to leadership, running a business, being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How do you cope with you as an individual?
Ooh.
From moving,
Personal.
last couple of
Yeah.
years, how do you cope with it all? There's again, we're looking at that hockey stick, degree of reach and success as a company, right? I mean, you guys are just blowing it out of the water, hiring people, growing teams. That in itself has a lot of pressure on anybody, right? Now, as an individual, when you see things happening and just evolving since 2019, which is not that long ago, to now, how do you cope with that? How do you deal with that?
How do I cope with it?
Yeah.
A big part is my support system, and it's going to go back to Evo Jesse. A huge support system. Not, again, being comfortable with the uncertain. A book that kind of got me super interested recently was Psychology of Money. And it was the only thing that's, or plan for your plan to not go according to planned. So I was like, okay, so I'm planning for my plan not to go according to plan. So how do you do that? Like, it's so you kind of step back. So you're like, okay, we're planning, but like, be okay with it, right?
Yeah.
Being able to get back up, put another game plan, and continue forward. That is how I think I've coped with it, at least personally, is like, be okay with it not being okay, first one, and not going the way that you're wanting it to go, but also surrounding yourself with like your people. Right?
Was you not being okay with the plan? Was that a normal thing, or is that something that you had to do, kind of learn to adjust to?
Oh no, it was learned. It was learned behavior. It was 100% learned behavior.
I know it is for me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not. It's
no
not
one's
normal.
comfortable getting uncomfortable. Like no one, right?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of even like books, a lot of books that I've read, I've listened, I've heard, right? Like I've reread so many books over and over just because I know they're great books, but like I'm trying to pull something else out. Psychology of Money is currently still sitting actually in my phone for like the upcoming read because I loved it so much the first time. What can I pull out of it again? At least for myself, and I don't know. Like it's being reminded of that is what kind of gets you to keep going.
What do you mean of that?
That it's okay not to for things not to go according to plan.
Yeah.
Because you forget about it, right? Like we're going like 300 miles an hour. We're all going that fast, and it's like you forget what you kind of like you've learned or you've heard. So you have to step back and then think like, okay, so like, is this really okay? Or are we going to be fine?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, let's go back to the basics. Basics are change, right? What's constant? Change. Yeah. Right.
Wow. I mean, staying on the horse for such a long period of time, and in a very volatile environment, stuff changes. Again, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things that come at you. Yeah. One of the and it's actually a conversation that we've had before where we're just kind of spinning out of control because of the workload that's happening. So yeah, I mean, slowing down is slowing down is a big thing. All right. Yep. If you're seeing that, I have a sign on my hand. It says "slow the fuck down," and it's not the word, but I mean, I can pick whatever 4-letter word I want.
Yes, you can.
So yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? I mean, just being aware that we can actually pump the brakes, even at a mental level, on the rate of speed that we're going about things. Yeah, the world might be rolling at 1,000 miles an hour, but it doesn't mean that we have to have that mental distress in here. What do you do to slow it down? To slow down because it's easier said than done. To slow it down and then just be okay with things just going south.
Sign.
And it's read the sign. It's not gonna happen. It's okay. How do you deal with that? Like how do you keep that mental fortitude in place?
Your support system, right?
Okay.
A person that usually so obviously mom, dad, super helpful with all of that. Evo Jesse always, but like even like my friends, like I know that I can find you for a lot of things, even like in it, like we talk about it. We'll talk about things, and then you're like, just like stop. Like you'll call me out on mine, and I'll call you out on your. Yeah. But it's more so like having that support system, someone that understands and understands your language that you're speaking, right? Yeah. Because not everyone's going to understand. Like I can't have these business conversations with all of my friends, right? So someone that speaks your language to kind of just tell you to like back off. Back off. Like, you're fine. Everything is fine. Everything is great. Like, it's fine.
And coming back to, like, sometimes it's simple, right? It's just like a little mental reset of coming back to the basics.
Yeah.
Going back to, okay, what's really working? Am I going to die tomorrow if this thing doesn't work out or whatever? No, you're just going to pivot. Yeah. Something else is going to happen.
So something actually a mutual friend of ours actually said, Lauren, at one of the events that we went to together, she said something that we're always kind of as humans naturally doing is we always think that we're going to be constant, like whatever situation is currently happening is going to be constant in our lives. Yeah. And I don't know why, like I've heard this saying 1,000 times, but at that point I was in a place in my life and business and whatever that it like stuck to me. It stuck to me like glue and I still can't shake it off. Like whatever is happening to you is not constant. Right? Whether you're feeling great, like, I'm sorry, but it's not going to be constant. Whether you're down and, like, you're feeling miserable, it's not constant. Your failures are not constant. So, like, I don't know why that, like, and this was over, I want to say a year. No, it wasn't that long. Maybe, like, 6+ months. But this saying is, like, with me. Like, when you're uncomfortable, just know it's not constant.
Yeah. I love that. Lauren, that was pretty good.
Yeah. That was great.
Shout out. Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's easy to get bottled up. Yeah. It's easy to get bottled up in the growth of things and the planning and okay, we got to hire more people. We got to improve the system. Some, thing happened that's crazy and we need to come in and fix it. I mean, there's always fires coming up left and right, right? I think at the end of the day, having the awareness that we can slow down a little bit if we have to and come back to those basic points that make us you just come to terms with things and find ourselves again. It's easy to lose ourselves as we're going through the process. So one thing that you told me a long time ago, it's staying consistent and staying persistent. Yeah. It's not about talent. It's about staying consistent and staying persistent. Mm-hmm. Elaborate on that.
Staying consistent. Okay, this is a conversation a while back, but just something, for instance, great example. In high school, I did track and field. I did hurdles. I'm not the tallest person to be able to do hurdles. Someone should have told me, like, don't do hurdles. Like, you're not that tall. But it didn't happen. Or maybe it did. I just didn't listen. Who knows? Well, anyways.
You probably thought you could do them because you were evil sister.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have a growth spurt season, right? And just be like 6'5". Nope. No, that didn't happen. But my point to the story, the guy a little deviated. Yeah. The point of the story is, like, I started, and I wanted to do hurdles, and I wanted to do hurdles bad. Like, right? And I was consistent with it. I don't care how much, I was not the best. I was not the worst, but I was consistent. I was consistent in practice. I was consistent to the games or to the track field games. I was always consistent. Like, it didn't matter, rain or shine. I was on the track running my hurdles. What happened is I made it to state. How did I make it to state? I don't even know how I made it to state. Like, this is because I shouldn't have made it, right? But what happened is the people that were great were no longer great because they weren't trying, right? I started to improve and I started to get better. People that were still improving, they weren't always there, or they were sick, or something happened. I don't know, like, right? And it wasn't, and I'm going to be honest, it wasn't the fact that I was the best hurdler on the team, for sure not. But the fact that I was consistent and persistent with, like, I'm going to be good. Yeah. I'm going to be good at this, whatever I'm doing.
I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah, I'm going to jump this hurdle, right? So me being consistent with that, I think, got me to kind of where I'm at. And I think not where I'm at today, but, like, to state. And I think a lot of even, like, my journey, like, I think a lot of people's journey. It's not being the best at everything that you do. And, like, you have to be okay with it. Right? I'm not the best at a lot of things. Yeah. But, like, I'll surround myself right with the best and be consistent with it as well. I'm always, like, dedicated to the team. I'm always, like, I'm there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, like, what's going on. I'm in the office constantly. Like, I'm constantly working. It's consistent work, right?
Mix that with persistency, and it's, I mean, you have something.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Annie, it's been a blast having you. I love coming back and then checking up on just, things as they're developing, right? Like when they're real. And I'm very proud to call myself your guys' friends because you guys are rock stars. I love everything that you guys are doing. Big admiration for all you guys. Before we sign off, I'm going to ask you a question again.
Yes.
If you were, and I don't know if it's changed or not.
I don't know. Has it?
One, before I jump into that, like, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, reach out, where's the best place to find you?
Social media. Anny Draginova, ANNY, DRAGINOV as in Victor, A.
Company website?
Batchservice.com.
Batch service, individual, not plural.
Yep. .com.
All right, there we have it. So if you were walking down the street...
Oh, no, it's changed. It's changed. Okay.
If you were walking down the street
Yep.
and you ran into your 17-year-old self, what would you tell that Annie?
What would I tell the Annie?
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to I will probably throw the book Psychology is Money at myself, first of all. Not so much to learn psychology of money, but to pick up that. It's not plan for your plan, not to go according to plan. Because when I was a 17-year-old, I knew everything. Right, I had my entire future planned out.
What do you think I always pick 17? Like
I don't know.
That's the state of stage of life where most people know everything.
Oh, my confidence was about my life, the way that it was gonna build. I was at 1,000%. There was no even 100. I was past that, but just being okay with the unchanged, because as soon as things started crumbling around me, not when I say crumbling, nothing horrible happened, but it didn't go according to my story.
Yeah.
Right, my story.
Your plan,
yeah. And for me, things were crumbling. Things were phenomenal, actually, and I couldn't see it because I was so focused on this is my story. This is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So, I think I would tell myself, first of all, to read that book multiple times until it
The Psychology of Money.
Psychology of Money.
All right.
Over and over and over and over and over again. And if I could highlight it, bold it, I don't even know.
I need to go back to it. I read it a while back.
Yeah.
I need to go back to it.
So it's that part that's always getting me. It's and kind of, if I would also try to find Lauren in speech, and just kind of realigning myself that it's not nothing is constant.
Yeah.
Right. So plan for your plan, not to go according to plan, and nothing is constant.
I love it. Annie, it's been amazing having you. Clear example, right? If you stay consistent and you stay persistent, you can take things from good to great.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Thank you very much for being in.
Thank you for having me.
Family, there you guys have it. Anny Draginova on the CEO Pulse podcast. Stay focused. You got this. It's a wrap.